Okay, we're going to talk about how to use Excel to find the center and the spread of a data set. And I'm going to start off using the data set that we have on Major League Baseball salaries in 1988. And so salary is the variable that I want to look at. And we can go ahead and just plot it really quick, see what it looks like. We'll do a histogram here. And we can see that it's unimodal right skewed. Let's go ahead and compute the different measures for the center. So the first one is the median. And we recall the command for this. We start off MED, and we see this command that pops up, median. So it's exactly what its name is. I'm going to click on the first cell of the range for values I want to compute the median of. And I'm going to use my Control-Shift-Down arrow key, although you can just drag it down and select all of the salaries in the range. And I get to the bottom, and there's my median. So we find out that the median for the scores here, for the salaries here, is $235,000. If I want to compute the mean, we use the word average. And notice there's a lot of different averages. So we're going to choose the second one. And again, I'm going to choose the same data set. And I have my average value. So we see, not too surprisingly, that the mean is a lot larger than the median. And again, that makes sense because we have a right skew data set. And we know that whenever we have a skew or a tail in the data set, it tends to pull the mean out towards it. It's not always true, but it's generally true. And it will mostly be true for the sort of data that we're looking at. All right, now we want to describe the spread of the data set. So we said that we have a couple of different ways of doing that. First, we can compute the range. And the range is just the max minus the min. So I'm going to take the maximum value in this data set. They're already sorted, but you might not have data sets that are sorted. And I'm simply going to subtract it from the min, or the minimum, or the smallest value in our data set. Come back up here. And the minimum is just min. That's why I was saying min. And I go ahead and I'm going to select the same data values and close this off. So I'm finding the largest data value in that column and subtracting it from the smallest. And there's the spread. So it says that there's a huge range in the data values. The largest and the smallest differ by close to $2,300,000. That's a big change. The IQR, remember what that is? That's the third quartile minus the first quartile. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use my quartile command like we did before. Again, we're going to choose quartile.exe. Click on the first value, select all those in the range, put a comma. Then you have to tell Excel what quartile you want. So I want the third quartile. And I'm going to copy and paste this because I'm going to use the same command to find the first quartile in a minute. All I'm going to do is change this to just 1. So I'm finding the value of the third quartile for the values in that column, subtracting it from the first quartile denoted by that 1, and there we go. So what this means is that the middle 50% of the data is contained in a range of roughly $500,000. Okay, so the middle 50% is contained in $500,000. All right, the last one we want is the standard deviation. Oops. We abbreviate it different ways. Sometimes I use SD, SDev. You'll kind of get used to that. So we start to type ST and we see all of these. And it's important to choose stdev.s. That's the sample standard deviation as opposed to the population. Again, choose all these values. Hit enter. And there we are. And this is roughly the average distance of the data values from the mean. So we see that on average, the data values are about $500,000 away from the mean. Which ones do we use in this data set? Well, we have a skewed data set. So for skewed data sets, we would use the median and we'd use the IQR. We never use the range when reporting the spread. And if we had a symmetric data set, even though we could use the median and the IQR, we would always use the median and the standard deviation. All right, that's how we get the center and the spread of a data set using Excel.